quality that the things have at individual states and stuff like that that allow me to update my degree of justification and the moral consideration of these things. I was gonna correlate that back to, well, when humans are fully developed and stuff like that, and these things are morally considered and stuff like that, we know that as soon as they like lose these particular traits, even you said yourself that they're not as considered. So if that's in
what
that
are the
kind of goes
individual
along
traits
with
you're
my
talking
type of
about?
way, yeah. We're just talking about different biological traits the human has. And if that's what we use to establish instrument of value, I could say, well, as they develop and gain more traits that humans have, which is in line with my instrument of value and why I value them, I could use that as justification as well.
Okay,
So depending on the state, so
to
whichever one's lower,
immediately clarify, if we talk about biology and say that would be the symmetry breaker as to why we value more an embryo with a fetus than a utero with a fetus, well, that immediately fails because of the case study I'm about to send. Hold on.
Well, I don't think that directly addresses what I'm saying, but we can talk about the case study though.
Yeah, sure. So let me just go to Smoothie's DMs. I sent in already this. So it's a pretty long study.
Yeah, y'all, I'm spitballing. I'm just creating shit in my head.
Noism, let me hit, nigga. Yeah, Noism.
By the way,
yeah, you're a gay as
fuck. Yeah, Noism.
What Smoothie's at? I need to find our DMs. I sent him the link in DMs.
Smoothie is next, nigga. Yeah.
Smoothie is not in this server, bro.
Wait, so
no, I know he's not in this server. I just need to find his DMs.
How the fuck it go from me? Wait,
bro, because you nigga, you started talking and shit. I didn't want to interrupt because
you can have your debate back, bro.
I mean, to be honest, I'd much rather enjoy talking with Official than Prince. No, this
yo, what the dicky, bro? Official, I know where you live, bro. What the hell?
What the fuck?
Hey, Princey, do I need to leak our DM?
Wait, I meant to say no with them. Wait, I'm sorry. I meant to say no with them. I know where you live, bro. What the hell?
Yeah, I was like, shit, okay.
My bad, bro. Wrong person, bro. You two kind of sound alike. All right, let me stop dick riding.
No, we don't.
All right. No, I should have said, okay.
Do y'all have Smoothie's account? I need to find this.
Nah, that nigga's retarded. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, Bradley,
I love you.
By the way, that's my fault. That's my fault. I fucking misconstrued the argument. It's ovum, not the utero. That's the difference. But yeah, the ovum actually shares more biological properties with the embryo than the embryo has with the fetus. So we just have to reductate back to it. Hold on. How Marquis tried to defend this is by saying there is a non-arbitrary distinction between the ovum and the sperm. But let me just find a reason as to why that would be false.
I think I could just say that at this point in time, this thing is more like me than the other things. As far as in the sense that it's way closer to becoming what I am when I'm considered a person, or when we have personhood, and I could say that is the particular trait.
It's more like
time.
you.
It could be like a set degree of time that it's existed.
Okay.
Maybe I could do that. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so I know what you're talking about. So I actually do agree with the worldview that we value things which are more like us. However, so we are currently talking about embryo and as to why it would be allowed to abort the embryo. Embryos do not have sentience.
Okay, so we're talking about embryo.
Just a second. Yeah. So you know what euthanasia? Well, yeah, because I think the fetus after 20 weeks actually shouldn't be aborted. That's obvious because it has sentience, right? But we're talking about before that, right?
So what position do you want me to argue?
You can argue whatever position you want. I just want to clarify.
No, because I'm trying to take the negation of what you're specifically arguing. So do you want me to argue the fetus already is morally considered, already has value? What do we?
Well, I'd like to argue what you believe in. I don't want this to be a bad faith discussion or whatever.
Okay, well, it's kind of weird because I don't really have a specific view on abortion. I've only debated it with a few people because of shit talking purposes, and
yeah, that's cool. I can just tell you what my view is, and then you can tell me if you Yeah, so the reason why, so I agree with more like us case study, but I disagree with the. You know what euthanasia is, right?
Yeah, it's preventing people who are terminally ill to be able to like kill themselves because I mean, die because of all the
Yes.
pain and stuff that they do, all the medication. They don't want to live like that. I think.
Okay.
Oh, I don't
And
know. I'm iffy on that still. I'm iffy on
I
that.
no. I believe that euthanasia is morally inconsiderate, but
Yeah,
that is completely irrelevant. That is completely irrelevant to the point I'm about to make, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
even though you and me might say that euthanasia sucks, right, and we don't agree with euthanasia, the issue here would
I don't
be
know
that
about it.
it's generally accepted within the society. But even if we disregard that, the fact that some people, allow euthanasia to exist as a prospect of them still, like the family of this dead person has the memories of that person that's like comatose or whatever. Now,
Yeah.
let's take into account that we allow killing of such people. What would be the symmetry breaker between such people and an embryo before sentience, or like fetus before sentience? In your opinion?
In my opinion.
Yeah, I'm actually like
So
genuinely.
basically,
I'm
a
not even trying to argue with you.
terminally ill person and a fetus. I think a fetus has more potential.
Okay, maybe the fetus
No,
could have more
no,
potential,
I
but
think it
we
does.
also no. Yeah. So even if I were to grant that, at the current moment, when we say we can kill this person, we're actualizing the idea that this person, even though currently holds more moral value, and it can, like obviously, people that are terminally ill, or some people that were terminally ill, they obviously woke up. They can also wake up. It's just not quite sure if they
What about
would.
more potential utility?
More potential utility. Well, they will go
Like its
into it.
instrumental. Like, what about its instrumental value? I could say this thing has more instrumental value. Instrumental value is what's good for everyone.
What do you mean by instrumental value? I'm not quite clear on that. Like the
I
utilitarian
mean, when I
position?
say instrumental value is just this type of means to an end that leads to like hedonic valences for like a set number of people and stuff like that.
I'd
Basically,
actually
greatest
say,
good for greatest number, something like that.
yeah, I understand. So if we're talking about like hedonic states, right? We're going to move towards utilitarianism, but that's completely fine with me.
Yeah.
So if we were to talk about hedonic states, then I'd actually think that generally talking, more people are going to experience worse hedonic states if we euthanize the person that's terminally ill, rather than just killing the fetus. Now, I can tell you why I think this. At the current moment, like let's take an example: a middle-aged man, right?
Let's stop right
He,
there. You're gonna be providing the reasoning for what two things?
so the reasoning I'm about to
First part.
provide is why I believe that there's going to be more bad hedonic states if we euthanize
More
a
you
terminally ill
deny.
person than just aborting a fetus before sentience. Is that
So they're
okay?
saying if we just say it's okay generally to euthanize people, it minimizes utility.
No, I'm saying that if we were to talk about generally, generally talking, I think that bad experiences from euthanization are going to outweigh the bad experiences from abortion. That's what I'm saying.
Does Brad think we care? What the Brad?
Bro,
Like,
chill. Out of here.
okay, so you're just saying that the bads in the scenario of like euthanasia outweigh the bads of abortion.
In
That's
most
all I heard.
cases. In most cases, yes.
In most cases, okay.
So I
I
believe
don't
that
see why.
there
I don't see why
right?
that's relevant. I don't see why that's relevant, but you could go ahead.
Yeah, so because you brought up hedonic states and the reason
Yeah,
why and you said the reason why you believe that we would morally consider the fetus more and why that would be the symmetry
because it
breaker.
has more instrumental value
Yes, now I believe that it's not the
and
case. I believe
potential
that
instrumental value.
yeah, and I'm saying that I believe because of general there is a study for this too. I can find it if you want me to. Generally there people experience more bad hedonic states when euthanizing people rather than aborting a fetus. I think
Yeah. I think that supports. Okay, so if I think that supports what I'm saying, because all you're saying there is that generally we get more bad in the euthanization process than we get in the process of abortion, which is something I can agree with.
Okay.
That's
So
something I could agree with. I think abortion definitely doesn't cause as much like negative utility as well. Definitely. Yeah, I think so because there's a lot more cases of like what? No, that's wrong. That's
no,
wrong.
there's more cases of abortion. The reason I can tell you why
Yeah,
I
I think it's
think.
because there's more cases of abortion. I think it's because there's more cases of abortion. That would be wrong. But I think like if they were like if they happen like a relative amount of times and stuff like that, I feel like the end result would be the euthanization causing more like negative utility.
I agree with the latter. I have some issues with what you said former. My issue with what you said former is when we abort like a fetus, there's less people sad about it than when we abort a grown man that had experiences with other people throughout the world, right? So,
Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah, I'm saying I agree with that. I
yeah,
agree that less people are sad when an abortion
yeah.
happens that they know about than when people see like some of their
Okay,
family member die.
okay,
He's
cool.
built more bonds and shit like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. That's why I believe that like the cons outweigh the pros. Well, there's no pros. Like the cons, I just outweigh on the other side. But then, so we've clarified that we both agree that there's more bad hedonic states when euthanasia rather than abortion. So, what is the instrumental
No.
value we're talking about?
In the case where there's a relative amount of these things happening, I think that the euthanasia would cause more negative utility
Yeah.
because of the bonds that this person would have. But generally in society, uh, does abortion cause more negative utility than euthanasia? It probably does. I think I could give reason why it probably does.
Well, I assume the reason would be since it happens more than the individuals that it happens to
Yeah,
would.
I guess I could do something like I think we have more grounded statistics of like people in mass who've like looked at the research about
Oh,
how many
yeah,
abortions
bro.
occur, and a lot of those pro-life people are like, really offended by stuff like that. You have protests, rallies, all types of, you know, uh, things like that. And I could point to like lots of it. But if you look at euthanasia, I don't think you'd be able to point at something that's like nearly as like comparable.
That depends. You would
That's
need to
strictly
like
because a
take
lot
into
of us.
account.
No, I think
You would.
the U.S. It's like a lot of us are fucking. Like
I don't know about
it's
U.S.
crazy.
I don't even know if euthanasia is allowed in the U.S. However, I would say that worldwide
Okay.
you would need to use a
Oh, I
utility
can't gauge
calculus for.
worldwide. I can't. Yeah, I can't gauge worldwide adequately because I can't verify a lot more
Yeah, I
products.
feel you. That's why I'm
That's why I
searching
was
it up
saying
right
I
now.
could point. Yeah, that's why I was saying I don't think you're gonna find that information because there's undocumented, stuff going on that we don't know. We don't know if it's gonna be adequate. But we can say that if we go to statistics about how people feel about pro-life versus pro-choice, we can say that it is. We could probably say it's around 40%, maybe, of the U.S. is definitely has more negative utility than like the whole like euthanasia shit that I'm
Okay,
getting. I'm sorry,
then
I'm smoking weed.
let me tell. Yeah, it's all
But you
good.
get
So
the point that I'm getting at.
I just wanna. Yeah, I know what you're pointing at. That's why I'm like searching up right now the like
Okay.
amounts of euthanized people. And yeah, in US it's 1,300 assisted deaths. However, for example, in Canada, which isn't even the most like times it's euthanized, there's 10,000 assisted deaths, which is insane in my opinion. So there will be 10,000 people euthanized, which would then also mean that every single one of the families that got euthanized experienced hedonic states. So we can take into account like more than 200,000 individuals, at least 100,000 individuals, right?
I think 40% of the U.S. is probably higher.
Maybe. I genuinely don't know. For like, I'm searching it up right now. It says
No, I think we
1,300.
have. I think for the U.S. our population is bigger than Canada. Like I think we have a billion. Do we have a billion in the U.S.? Did we hit a billion?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think y'all have like 400 million, but that's irrelevant. I'm
400
looking
million?
at I'm looking at the like
40%?
chart. Hold on, let me give you. This is the chart. So it's like
I think that's still more. I think that's still more.
it might
It's
be,
pretty
but
very.
check
It's a
general
very.
chat real quick.
General, what servers?
Nigga, this server, nigga.
This server.
What server is this, nigga? I'm not on my phone, bro.
Oh, it's the system.
It's the system.
Oh, system. Okay.
Yeah, there's not many people, I think. But this is like the assisted deaths versus like in all countries.
1300.
So it appears as though Canada has them. It appears as though Canada has like a majority of it. That's 10,000 just in Canada. So yeah, I don't blame you because you live in US, and then you would obviously gauge it based on what you saw. So I obviously don't blame you. But based on what I found, it appears as though it outweighs abortion. You can agree, disagree. It's all good.
I disagree. But what was the other point that you were making?
Yeah. So if we were to just go past this point, I would then say, since euthanized people, euthanasia is more bad hedonic states, then I'm not currently really aware of what instrumental value you're talking about, since it seems as though this one provides worse instrumental value than abortion, but we allow the other one.
Well, I don't think I disagree if you could prove if that was like it was actually proved, and then what would this tie into? Like we don't have as much reason. We don't have as much factors that grant consideration for X over Y.
Yeah, basically my point would be we allow euthanasia, but under the worldview, you seem to agree with me here. We value people that are euthanized more than we value fetuses, so that would be the reason as to why I'd assume abortion should also be morally permitted when euthanasia is also morally permitted.
I don't think I'd agree that they're more valued. I agree that a lot more people are affected in the cases of like abortion. I'm just taking that to like a net utility measure. I can't gauge against all potential.
Okay, so then let's talk about whether or not they're more
measurable people.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So do you want to talk about whether or not do you think they're more valued or not, and as to why I believe they're more valued, or?
Yeah. You could talk
okay, sure. So do you recall the 3 traits I said when I was talking about Princey as to like moral value when talking about?
No, humans? I came in when y'all related to the conversation.
Okay, so the 3 are human genetic code. We value humans based on their biology. You agree with this?
We value humans based off of their. No, because I believe in a type of moral fact.
You believe in moral facts?
Yeah, I believe in like a type of moral fact that makes us valued and stuff like that.
Oh, then this discourse is useless.
If we have different metaethical positions, then the discourse is useless.
I'm a realist.
Yeah, I'm a non-cognitivist.
No, I'm actually a cognitivist, not real. Oh God. Well, then discourse would be useless because we just value things differently. That's like having completely different normative ethical positions.
Yeah, I was just trying to talk and like frame what I was saying similar to what like Princey was saying, and then like adopt like the whole like future like ours stuff that he was talking about to see like where we could go.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about then your view, then the discourse would be useless because we don't share at all. But it's okay. Based on, do you understand what I was trying to say with future like ours and why there's issues with future like ours? Though I can send you like there's a whole ass document made.
You can send me the paper because I disagree because it's something I've heard. It's something I think I've heard before.
Yeah, it's basically saying all of them shares more biological traits. Yugi?
Oh no! Shiki told me about some sperm cell shit, but I thought that shit was so stupid.
No, sperm cell stuff.
After I watched that rec, I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, the sperm cell reductive is retarded because individually sperm cells don't have the potential for it, but all of them do have the potential for it.
Literally.
That's why I think that's why I believe the argument for the ovums is like more appropriate. That's why you were confused on what I was saying. That's why you brought up sperm cells. Yeah, I understand that.
No, because you said no, because I thought you brought up a sperm cell reductive, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. The sperm cell reductive
is obviously it has different features than that of like a sperm cell, phospholipid, etc., all that bullshit. Y'all,
Yeah.
I was getting philosophical. I was low key talking about philosophy.
No, what, bro? How
Hold
much
on.